Joining us on the show now, Sunil Gavaskar and VVS Laxman. Sunny bhai, this final was being built up as the final between two best teams in this tournament. The rivalry, the Anzac rivalry was highlighted, but in the end it was an anti-climax. Would you say New Zealand got found out in the bigger grounds of Australia and also a place where the ball doesn't swing as much as it does in New Zealand?
Yes, I think you could say that because quite simply they were overwhelmed. You know, when you're playing the first finals of your lives and you play in front of such a massive crowd of Australians, and then you have your captain being dismissed in the first over of the game, suddenly it becomes just a little too much, and that was what happened with the Kiwis. They lost, as our friend over there said, they lost 3 of their main scoring batsmen for ducks, and that really set them back. They were simply not able to recover. The Australians just packed too many guns for them.
Right, Saibhai, since you talk about losing those 3 batsmen pretty early, you were an opener, so I'm going to talk about McCullum in specifically with you. I understand that he's an aggressive batsman. He's come out and said that very often, that that's the way he plays. But today, being the skipper, 2 balls that he faced, missed out on those, and then got out in the 3rd ball. Do you think the kind of message that it sends out to the dressing room as a skipper, if he fails this early in the game without looking really comfortable, it sets the entire team a little back, and they may be a little skeptical when they go out to bat after that?
Well, I mean, that's the way he's played right throughout the tournament, right throughout even till the semi-finals. He was doing exactly the same thing. It's just that the Australians had clearly realized that they were not going to give him any width. Perhaps the fact that he hadn't played any left-hand over-the-wicket bowlers might have also been the cause of his dismissal, because the ball swung in just a little bit late. And yes, I think you could, in hindsight, say that maybe he should have applied himself just a little bit. But as he would have said to himself, why change something when it is not broken? And it had worked for him. Sure, he hadn't got 100, but he had given the team an electrifying start in the previous games, and that allowed the other batsmen down the order to settle down. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him this time around, and well, that's that.
Right, VVS, I come to you. We spoke about McCullum not scoring too many runs, but how good has Stark been in this entire tournament, and how good was he in the final? It's very hard for us to imagine he's the same bowler that we saw in the Test series. He was criticised a lot when he played that first Test match against India in Adelaide, and now he's a completely different bowler, would you say?
Absolutely, Nikhil. I think he's been a revelation and the best bowler, and that's why he got the man of the tournament. Right from the first game, I think he bowled wicket-taking deliveries and he bowled wicket-taking lengths, and that was so crucial. And the biggest plus point for Stark is now he believes that he's the match winner for Australia. He believes that he's a strike bowler. Even today, after the post-match at the presentation, he told to Mark Nicholas that he and Craig McDermott had a plan to bowl to McCullum, and he executed that plan beautifully, and he bowled aggressively, and not only taking that wicket off McCullum, but the first 10 overs he and Hazelwood didn't give anything away to Guptill and Williamson, putting them under a lot of pressure. So I think the biggest plus point for Australia is they've got now Mitchell Starc, who according to me is probably the best bowler in world cricket at the moment in limited overs game. He's realizing and he's blossoming into a match winner, into a strike bowler, into a bowler who can regularly put pressure on the batsman by picking up wickets.
Right. Vikas, as a neutral, I'm sure you would have expected to see a good final. I'm sure the New Zealand team disappointed you with their performance today?
Yeah, today definitely. I was expecting a close game. Obviously, Australia started as favourites for obvious reason. They're playing in their home condition, and New Zealand playing their first game away from home. And Australia had more depth in their batting. They also had a lot of depth in their bowling. But I was expecting a close game, like probably the semi-finals between New Zealand and South Africa. But really disappointed because the 90-odd thousand spectators wanted a close game, wanted at least a fight from New Zealand. But I think, you cannot really complain about their bowling effort, because even till the last boundary or the last run was scored, they were fighting it out. but I think the batsman disappointed, and a big wicket in Brendon McCullum. I still feel that he should have had a different plan. Yes, because he's playing for the first time in Australia in this tournament. He doesn't know the surface, he doesn't know the pace of the wicket, and he's playing Mitchell Starc, who is probably the best bowler in the tournament, the bowler in form. So I thought he should have changed, he should have been more circumspect. And Australians were fearing McCullum. You saw that celebration when McCullum was out. If at all McCullum would have changed his plan, probably attacked the inexperienced Hazelwood, played at least 10 to 15 overs, I think the game would have been totally different.
Okay, Sunny, let's talk about the Australian team now. They won 4 World Cups of the last 5 World Cups that have been played. Australia as a cricketing nation must be doing a lot of things right, would you say?
They certainly do. I think if you have a look at their system, and we've been in Australia now for the last couple of months, and we see the system. The system is where there is accountability at all levels. There's no sentimentality at all when you look at the way they select their teams. Because if there's somebody who they think is over the hill and he needs to be given a message that he should quit, that's what they do. They don't select him, pick a younger player who might actually be able to do the job a lot better. And generally, I think the competitive nature of the Australians in all walks of life, not just in cricket or in sport, the competitive nature of Australians in all walks of life, where they want to be the best, has certainly stood them in good stead. But I think most important is the fact that they have a system which gives plenty of competition. Their grade cricket, which is not necessarily just the top grade. There's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. They play every Saturday. There's a gap of a week, but it actually helps them to develop cricketers who then get ready for the next level. So the great cricketers get ready for the first class level. The first class level cricketers then, after playing for some time, get ready for the national team and the international levels. So they're prepared at all times. And very, very seldom, if you go through the history of Australian cricket, very, very seldom will you find players in Australia who have played less than, say, half a dozen test matches. When somebody plays less than half a dozen test matches, unless of course it's because of injury, you know that there has been something wrong in selecting him in the first place. Right. So I think that is something that you've got to admire about the Australians.
Right, lots of things to learn from the Australian cricketing system. VVS, to you, before this tournament started, had you asked 10 people who's going to win, I'm sure 9 would have said Australia. Do you think there is a huge gap now between Australia and the rest of the team, especially as far as one-day cricket is concerned?
No, I don't think so. I think all the 4 semi-finalists were on par. Australia played better cricket than India on that particular day. And even today, they played better than New Zealand. And I think all their match winners performed in these 2 crunch games. But I feel India, South Africa, New Zealand and Australia are on par. Sri Lanka also, but they lost out on some important bowlers during this tournament. So I think these 5 teams are on par. But you have to realize, Nikhil, that they're playing in their home condition. I mean, when India plays at home, India is better than any other side in world cricket. Correct. So they took maximum advantage of playing at home, and they played to their potential, and they peaked at the right time.
Okay, one final word. We're running out of time. Sunny bhai, to you and VVS both. I'll start with you, Sunny bhai. A word on Michael Clarke. A perfect farewell for him?
Oh, tremendous. Absolutely the best way for a captain to quit, by winning the trophy. He's been a fabulous skipper. Everybody reckons, even in Australia, where they are really, really hard about giving praise to somebody. Even the most hardened of Australian former players reckon that he's been a terrific captain, very, very aggressive, very, very innovative. He's been a very shrewd skipper. And to go scoring 74 runs as well, not just hanging around there. He took his time over there. You saw him when he came into bat. He realized that if a wicket had fallen at that stage, it would have given New Zealand maybe a foot in the door. So he made sure that there was no foot in the door, and then he started to open out. So that also means clever thinking, clever application of the mind and strategy. So all in all, fabulous way to go out, and good luck to him in the rest of his Test career.
VVS, your thoughts on Michael Clarke?
Oh, fantastic! I think no one can ask for a better farewell, winning the World Cup as a captain. But we have to remind ourselves, saying that Michael Clarke was so desperate to play in this World Cup. He was injured. He was having that hamstring injury. But we've read through media reports how desperate he was, how much hard work he put in. He went and played club cricket, great cricket, played some practice game, and was desperate to play this World Cup. And that shows that what kind of passion he has got for Australian cricket. And my respect, Nikhil, for him has got a notch higher. The way he dedicated this World Cup to Phil Hughes, I think that was fantastic, according to me. And that's what is beauty about this Australian team. Under Darren Lehmann and Michael Clarke, they've transformed into a family, a great team environment, which they have all accepted that.